perhaps. So
Thank you so much, Bruce. Would like to read. Oh, what happened? Did it start or not? So, who would like to read the prayers?
I can recite it. Just give me 1 minute if
Yes.
if others don't want to recite. I just need to take flowers and put it in the center. Just 1 minute. Și volem tare che c'è. Și nu sunt dar che c'è. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanachmilandasya Gyananjanam Shalakayam Chaksunmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayarupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadam Tikam Andeham Shri Guru Shiotam Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Ladita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinat Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Lada Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangila Devlindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutare Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Shatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadar Shvasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskrityam Nalam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udilayet. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishnam Punyashlavana Kirtanaham Vijantasto Yahpadrani Vidunoti Soritsatam Nastapaya Prayesvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavachuttama Shloke Bhaktil Bhavati Naistiki. Before reciting this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana. unto Nala, Nalayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Canto Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, we continue from 423, 24. Anyone can continue.
Can I read first? I will read only a few verses, and then I need to do some service.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you for this opportunity to read from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Kulvatyam kusumasalam tasmid mandala sasnunim nadat va malatulyesum grinantisma palaspalam. Kulvatya, just showering. Kushuma asalam, showers of flowers. That's mean in that mandala of the mandala hill, Sanuni, on the top. Nadatsu, vibrating. Amala Turyeshu, beating on drums of the demigods. Grinanti, Shma. They were talking. Palaspalam amongst themselves as follows. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. All at that time, the demigods were situated on the top of the Mandala hill, and all their wives began to shower flowers on the funeral pyre, and began to talk amongst themselves as follows. Text 25. Devya Uchuhum Ahoy Yambadul Danyam Yachaivam Bubujam Patim Salvatmana Patim Bechim Yagesham Shlilvadulivam. Devyaham Uchuhum, the wives of the demigods, said, Aho, alas, Iam this, but to who? The wives, Danya, most glorious, Ya, U, Cha, also, Evam, as, Bu, of the world, Bujam, of all the kings, Patim, the kings, Salvatmana, with full understanding, Patim, unto the husband, Piche, worshipped, Yagesham, unto Lord Vishnu, Shli, the goddess of fortune, Paduhu, wife, Eva like. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The wives of the demigods said, All glories to Queen Archie. We can see that this queen of the great King Prithu the emperor of all the kings of the world, has served her husband with mind, speech, and body, exactly as the goddess of fortune serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yagyesha, or Vishnu. Purport. In this verse, the word Yagyesham Shlil Vadul Eva indicate that Queen Archie served her husband just as the goddess of fortune served the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. We can observe that even in the history of this world, when Lord Krishna, the Supreme Vishnu, was ruling over Dwaraka, Queen Rukmini, who was the chief of all Krishna's queens, used to serve Lord Krishna personally in spite of having many hundreds of maid servants to assist her. Similarly, the goddess of fortune in the Vaikuntha planets also serve Narayana personally, although there are many thousands of devotees prepared to serve the Lord. This practice is also followed by the wives of the demigods, and in days past, the wives of men also follow this same principle. In the Vedic civilization, the husband and wife were not separated by such man-made laws as divorce. We should understand the necessity for maintaining family life in human society and should thus abolish this artificial law known as divorce. The husband and wife should live in Krishna consciousness and follow the footsteps of Lakshmi Narayan or Krishna Rukmini. In this way, peace and harmony can be possible within this world. Joy. Text 26. Saisham nunam prajatyurvam anupanyam pachisatim Pasyatasmanattityalchil tulvibhavyenam karmana. She is this numnam certainly, rajati going, urdvam upwards, anu following, vanyam the son of Vena, patim husband, sati chaste, pasyata just see, asman us, atitya overpassing, archi of the name Archi, Dulvibhavina by inconceivable Kalmana activities. Translation. The wives of the demigods continued. Just see how this chaste lady, Archi, by dint of her inconceivable pious activities, is still following her husband upwards as far as we can see. Purport. Both Prithu Maharaj airplane and the airplane carrying Queen Archie were passing out of the vision of the ladies of the higher planetary system. These ladies were simply astonished to see how Prithu Maharaj and his wife achieved such an exalted position. Although they were the wives of the denizens of the higher planetary system, and Prithu Maharaj was an inhabitant of an inferior planetary system, the Earth, the king, along with his wife, passed beyond the realms of the demigod and went upward to Vaikuntha. The word Urdhvam, upwards, is significant here, for the ladies speaking were from the higher planetary system, which include the moon, sun, and Venus, up to Brahmaloka, or the highest planet. Beyond Brahmaloka is the spiritual sky, and in that spiritual sky there are innumerable Vaikuntha-loka. Thus, the word Urdhvam indicates that the Vaikuntha planets are beyond and or above these material planets. And it was to this Vaikuntha planet that Prithu Maharaj and his wife were going. This also indicates that when Prithu Maharaj and his wife Archie abandoned their material body in the material fire, they immediately developed their spiritual body. This is very important. And enter into spiritual airplanes, which could penetrate the material element and reach the spiritual sky. Okay. Since they were carried by two separate airplanes, it may be concluded that even after being burned in the funeral pyre, they remain separate individual person. In other words, they never lost their identity or become void as imagined by the impersonalist. The ladies in the higher planetary system were capable of seeing both downwards and upwards. When they looked down, they could see that the body of Prithu Maharaj was being burned and that his wife Archie was entering into the fire. And when they looked upwards, they could see how they were being carried in two airplanes to the Vaikuntha Loka. All of this is possible simply by Dulvibhavyena Kalmana, inconceivable activity. Prithu Maharaj was a pure devotee, and his wife, Queen Archie, simply followed her husband. Thus they can both be considered pure devotees, and thus they are capable of performing inconceivable activities. Such activities are not possible for ordinary men. Indeed, ordinary men cannot even take to the devotional service of the Lord, nor can ordinary women maintain such vows of chastity and follow their husband in all respect, especially in the fire. A woman does not need to attain high qualifications, but if she simply follows in the footsteps of her husband, who must be a devotee, then both husband and wife attain liberation and are promoted to the Vaikuntha lokas. This is evinced by the inconceivable activities of Maharaj Prithu and his wife.
Oh, Haribol.
I read one more. Yeah, very nice purport. So their body was still
Yeah, we
burning.
definitely read this. Yeah, now I'm confused. Yeah, we have read this.
Read this? I don't know because I wasn't there in the
Yes,
previous reading session. Did you take note or something?
yes, Prabhu. And I showed this verse also when preaching, so I remembered that we have read this. So now I'm confused where we stopped. Once again.
No problem,
Maybe
Prabhu.
we stopped there. I think we stopped there. Or let's see.
Are you sure?
Yes, but we will continue from there.
29 or
27.
27? Okay.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Okay. Tesam dulapam kinvanyam malchanam bhagavatpadam bhuvilolayusho yevai naishkalmyam sadayanchuta. Tesam of them dulapam difficult to obtain, kim what to but anyat anything else, malchanam of the human being, Bhagavat Padam the kingdom of God. Bhuvi in the world, Lola flickering, Ayusha span of life. Yea, those by certainly, Naishkarmyam, the path of liberation, Sadayanti, execute, Utta, exactly. Translation, in this material world, every human being has a short span of life. But those who are engaged in devotional service go back home, back to Godhead, for they are actually on the path of liberation. For such person, there is nothing which is not available. Jai. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Anityam ashukam lokam imam prapya jasvamam. Bhagavad Gita 9:33. The Lord here declares that this material world is full of misery, ashukam, and at the same time is very flickering, anityam. Therefore, one's only duty is to engage himself in devotional service. This is the best end to which human life can be put. Those devotees who are constantly engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord achieve not only all material benefits, but also all spiritual benefits. For at the end of life, they go back home, back to Godhead. Their destination is described in this verse as Bhagavat Padam. The word Padam means abode, and Bhagavat means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, the destination of the devotees is the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, the word Naishkarmyam, which means transcendental knowledge, is also significant. Unless one comes to the platform of transcendental knowledge and offers devotional service to the Lord, he is not perfect. Generally, the processes of Gyan, Yoga, and Karma are executed life after life before one gets a chance to render pure devotional service to the Lord. This chance is given by the grace of a pure devotee. And it is in this way only that one can actually attain liberation. In the context of this narration, the wives of the demigods repented because although they had the opportunity of a birth in the higher planetary system, a lifetime spanning many millions of years and all material comfort, they were not as fortunate as Prithu Maharaj and his wife, who were actually surpassing them. In other words, Prithu Maharaj and his wife scorned promotion to the higher planetary system and even to Brahmaloka because the position which they were attaining was incomparable. Oh, life, yes, I was there. Comparable. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord affirms Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punal Avaltinol Junam, from the highest planet in the material world to the lowest. All are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. Bhagavad Gita 8:16. In other words, even if one goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, he has to return to the miseries of birth and death. In the ninth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna also asserts, Tetam bhutva swalgalokam vishalam kshinepunyam altalokam vishantim. Where they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. Bhagavad Gita 9:21. Thus, after exhausting the result of pious activity, one has to come again to the lower planetary system and begin a new chapter of pious activity. It is therefore said in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Neishkarmyam apyachutta bhava varjitam. The path of liberation is not at all secure unless one attains the devotional service of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita 1:5-12. Even if one is promoted to the impersonal Brahma Yoti, he runs every chance of falling down into this material world, if it is possible to fall down from the Brahmayoti, which is beyond the higher planetary system in the material world, then what can be said of the ordinary yogi and karmi, who can only be elevated to the higher material planets? Thus, the wives of the denizens of the higher planetary system did not very much appreciate the result of karma, jnana, and yoga. They regret what we did, all these things. We should, practice bhakti yoga. We were fool.
Yes, brother.
But then when we fall down in this, bhuvaluka, in this hurt, then we forgot everything due to our connection with Maya. And then, we start again to do some nonsense. This is crazy. All of us, at one time, we were like those demigods, and we regret, like them. Why we perform such yoga? We should perform bhakti yoga. But then again, we fall again into this trap. Just like the son of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Buriya Tomale, and he said, you were with me in the womb of my mother. And in the womb of my mother, I pray, and I promise you that I will, after I'm out of the womb, I will, worship you. But as soon as, I get out of the womb of my mother, Maya capture me, and then I start to do some nonsense once again. You see, this is crazy situation. We must always meditate on how fortunate we are to just be able to practice bhakti yoga. This is very fortunate position. You see how demigods are praying, how they are thinking. So we should really meditate on that, how fortunate we are. Sometimes we can feel down, we can feel very discouraged, but we must meditate and contemplate on this fact that we are very fortunate, actually. We must go on and do our best. We read the last one, and then give chance to others also to read. Sorry.
Thank you.
Savancinto batatmadruk kchenam mahta bhuvim latvapalvagyam manusham vishayesu vishajatim saha hi vanchitaha cheated, bata certainly atmadruk, envious of himself, klitchlena, with great difficulty, mahata, by great activities, bhuvi, in this world, latvaha, by achieving apavaligam, the path of liberation, manusham, in the human form of life, visha yeshu, in the matter of sense gratification, vishajate, becomes engaged. Any person who engages himself within this material world in performing activities that necessitate great struggle, and who, after obtaining a human form of life, which is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, undertakes the difficult task of fruitive activity, must be considered to be cheated and envious of his own self. What a great verse. Yeah, we were talking about that. In this material world, people are engaged in different activities simply to achieve a little success in sense gratification. The karmis are engaged in performing very difficult activities, and thus they open gigantic factories, build huge cities, make big scientific discoveries, etc. In other words, they are engaged in performing very costly sacrifice in order to be promoted to the higher planetary systems. Similarly, yogis are engaged in achieving a similar goal by accepting the tedious practice of mystic yoga. Jnanis are engaged in philosophical speculation in order to gain release from the clutches of the material nature. In these ways, everyone is engaged in performing very difficult tasks simply for gratification of the senses. All of these are considered to be engaged in sense gratificatory activities or vishaya, because they all demand some facility for material existence. Actually, the results of such activities are temporary, as Krishna himself proclaims in Bhagavad Gita, Antavatu phalam tesham, the fruits of those who worship the demigod are limited and temporary. Bhagavad Gita 7.23. Thus, the fruits of the activities of the yogi, karmi, and jnani are ephemeral. Moreover, Krishna says, Tad bhavachalpa medasham, they are simply meant for men of small intelligence. Bhagavad Gita 7.23. The word Vishaya denotes sense gratification. That the karmis flatly state that they want sense gratification. The yogi also want sense gratification, but they want it to a higher degree. It is their desire to show some miraculous results through the practice of yoga. Thus, they strive very hard to achieve success in becoming smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest, or in creating a planet like the Earth, or as scientists by inventing so many wonderful machines. Similarly, the jnani are also engaged in sense gratification, for they are simply interested in becoming one with the Supreme. Thus, the aim of all activities in sense gratification to a higher or lower degree. The bhakta, however, are not interested in sense gratificatory practice. They are simply satisfied to get an opportunity to serve the Lord. Although they are satisfied in any condition, there is nothing they cannot obtain because they are purely engaged in the service of the Lord. The wives of the demigod condemn the performer of sense gratificatory activities as vanchita, cheated. Those who are engaged are actually killing themselves. Atmaha, spiritual suicide. As stating in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Lideyam madhyam sulabam sudulabam plavam sukalpam gulukarnandalam mayanuke kulenam nabashvatelitam pumam bhavatim natalet sahatmaham. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 11:20-17. When one wants to cross a large ocean, he requires a strong boat. It is said that this human form of life is a good boat by which one can cross the ocean of nescience. In the human form of life, one can obtain the guidance of a good navigator, the spiritual master. He also gets a favorable wind by the mercy of Krishna, and that wind is the instruction of Krishna. The human body is the boat. The instruction of the Lord Krishna are the favorable winds, and the spiritual master is the navigator. The spiritual master knows well how to adjust the sails to catch the winds favorably and steer the boat to its destination. If, however, one does not take advantage of this opportunity, he wastes his human form of life. Wasting time and life in this way is the same as committing suicide. The word Labba is significant in this verse because, according to Jiva Goswami, Apavalgyam or the path of liberation does not refer to merging into the impersonal Brahman, but to Salukyatisiddhi, which means attaining the very planet where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. There are 5 kinds of liberation, and one is called Sayuja Mukti, or merging into the existence of the Supreme, or the impersonal Brahman effulgence. However, since there is a chance of one's falling down again into the material sky from the Brahman effulgence, Srila Jiva Goswami advised that in the human form of life, one's only aim should be to go back home, back to Godhead. The words Savanchitaha indicate that once a person has obtained the human form of life, he is actually cheated if he does not make preparation to go back home, back to Godhead. The position of all non-devotees who are not interested in going back home, back to Godhead is very much lamentable. For the human form of life is meant for executing devotional service and nothing else. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for this opportunity to read beautiful verses. Vanchakalpatarubhyacha kripasindhubhya vachapatitanam bhavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Who would like to read next? Hare Krishna, Siddharth Prabhu, Danda Pram, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Any readers? Or Rushikesh Prabhu left. I was thinking he was going to read.
I can continue if no one wants to read.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay. So you will continue still how long?
Maybe like 15 minutes. If there is
15.
if Praveen Prabhu doesn't join and start reading, then maybe like 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes, okay. Text 29. Maitreya uvacham Stuvatishvamalastrishum Patilokam gatavaduhum Yam vahatma vidam duryum Vainyam prapachyutashlayaham. Maitreya uvacham, the great sage Maitreya continued to speak Stuvati Shu while glorifying Amalat Strishu by the wives of the denizens of heaven, Patilokam, the planet where the husband had gone, Gata, reaching, Paduhu, the wife, Yam, where, Va, or Atmavidam, or the self-realized soul, Duriham, the topmost, Venya, the son of King Vena, Plitu Maharaj, Prapa obtained Achyuta Haslayam under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation: the great sage Maitreya continues speaking. My dear Vidura, when the wives of the denizens of heaven were thus amongst themselves, Queen Machi reached the planet which her husband, Maharaj Prithu, the topmost self-realized soul, had attained. Purport. According to the Vedic scriptures, a woman who dies with her husband or enters into the fire in which her husband is burning also enters the same planet her husband attains. In this material world, there is a planet known as Patiloka, just as there is a planet known as Pitriloka. But in this verse, the word Patiloka does
Krishna
not
Prabhu.
refer.
What,
Yes.
Prabhu,
Prabhu?
sorry to interrupt, Prabhu. Actually, this verse was also read, Prabhu,
Yes, Prabhu.
last time.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm thinking we also read this one. So you remember where we stopped? Because the YouTube verse is it doesn't show the. I don't know. It feels like one episode has. It feels like it has disappeared or something.
Maybe, Prabhu, we were starting the new chapter, Prabhu.
I'm thinking,
I
did
think
I?
Vivek Prabhu read.
Yes, Prabhu. I'm thinking, did I accidentally stream it on some wrong channel? Cause see,
So, Prabhu, actually, that video was ISKM That was on the ISKM
oh, is it? Why no one said anything? Where it is? Oh yeah, it's here. Why no one has said anything? Oh, this is crazy. Why no one said anything? Now we need to
I
prepare
was
some.
thinking why today you have uploaded on this.
I was thinking, what is this? Now, yeah, this is unbelievable. Now we read the same thing second time, but we
No,
need to.
it's okay. Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya. No problem. We can read it millions of times.
Yes, but there's 100 views. They were maybe confused. Why these people are reading? We need to unlist it.
So, I was thinking why you have uploaded on ISKM
Yes, Prabhu. If it happens again, please say. So now we can see where we stopped. I think we read the whole chapter. Definitely. Yeah, we were
Yes,
going
Prabhu.
to start a new
Yes,
chapter.
Prabhu, on Friday, actually, you have completed.
Yes, Prabhu. Oh, we were going to read so many verses.
It's
Okay.
okay. Only 2 verses left.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, we can start this now.
Chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Beautiful chapter.
Yes, Prabhu.
Text 1. Maitreya Vacham Vijitasvodirajasit Prithuputram Plitushlavaham Yaviyobhyo Dadatkashta Pratripyo Blatrim Vatsalaham. Maitreya Uvacha, Maitreya continued to speak, Vijitashva, of the name Vijitashva, Adilaja, the emperor. Asit became Plituputra, the son of Maharaj Plitu, Plitu Shlavaha, of great activities, Yavi Yopyaha, unto the younger brothers, Adadat, offered, Kashtat, different direction, Rastelbya, unto the brothers, Vatsalah, very affectionate to the brothers. Translation: The great Maitreya continued. Vijitashva, the eldest son of Maharaj Prithu, who had a reputation like his father, became emperor and gave his younger brother a different direction of the world to govern, for he was very affectionate toward his brothers. Purport. After describing the life and character of Maharaj Prithu in the previous chapter, the great sage Maitreya began to speak about the sons and grandsons in the genealogical line of the Prithu dynasty. After the death of Maharaj Prithu, his eldest son, Vijitashva, became emperor of the world. King Vijitashva was very affectionate toward his younger brothers, and therefore he wanted them to rule the different direction of the world. From time immemorial, the eldest son generally becomes king after the death of the previous king. When the Pandavas rules the earth, Maharaj Yudhishthira, the eldest son of King Pandu, became emperor, and his younger brother assisted him. Similarly, King Vijitashva's younger brother were appointed to govern the different direction of the world. Text 2. Haryakshaya tishat prachim tumlakishaya dakshinam prachichim samgyayam tulyam dravinashe vibuhum. Haryakshaya, unto Haryaksha, Adishat, delivered, Prachim, eastern, Dumlakeshaya, unto Dumlakesha, Dakshinam, the southern side, Prachichim, the western side, Vlikasangaya, unto his brother, whose name was Vlika, Turyam, the northern side, Dravinashe, unto another brother of his name Dravina, Vibhuhu, the master. Maharaj Vijitashva offered the eastern part of the world to his brother Haryaksha, the southern part to Dumlakesha, the western part to Vlika, and the northern part to Dravina. Text 3. Antaldana Shaklan Labvantaldanam Samgitam Apaltya Tlayam Adattam Shikandiyam Susamatam. Antaldana, of disappearance, Gatim, achievement, Shaklat, from King Indra, Labbaha, getting, Antaldana, of the name Sangita, so nominated, Apatya, children, Tlayam, 3, Adatta, begot, Shikantiyam, in Shikantini, his wife, Samatam, approved by everyone. Translation. Formerly, Maharaj Vijitashva pleased the king of heaven, Indra, and from him received the title Antaldana. His wife's name was Shikantini, and by her he begot 3 good sons. Maharaj Vijitashva was known as Antaldana, which means disappearance. He received this title from Indra, and it refers to the time when Indra stole Maharaj Prithu's horses from the sacrificial arena. Indra was not visible to others when he was stealing the horse, but Maharaj Prithu's son, Vijitashva, could see him. Yet despite his knowing that Indra was taking away his father's horse, he did not attack him. This indicates that Maharaj Vijitashva respected the right persons. Although Indra was stealing the horse from his father, Vijitashva knew perfectly well that Indra was not an ordinary thief. Since Indra was a great and powerful demigod and servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vijitasva purposefully excused him due to sentiment only. Even though Indra was acting wrongly, thus Indra became very pleased with Vijitasva at that time. The demigods have the great mystic power of being able to appear and disappear, according to their will. And since Indra was very pleased with Vijitasva, he bestowed this mystic power upon him. Thus, Vijitasva became known as Antaldana. Text 4. Pavakaham pavamanascham shuchil tyagayam pulam vasishtam shapadutpanaham punaryugagatim gataham. Pavakaham, of the name Pavaka, Pavamanaha, of the name of Pavamana. Cha, also Shuchi, of the name of Shuchi. Ititas Agyaya, the fire gods. Pula, formerly. Vashishta, the great sage Vashishta. Shapat, by being cursed. Utpanaham, were now born as such. Punah, again, Yoga Gatim, the destination of mystic yoga practice, Gataha, attain. The three sons of Maharaj Antaldana were named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi. Formerly, these three personalities were the demigods of fire. But due to the curse of the great sage Vashishta, they became the son of Maharaj Antaldana. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigod of fire. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita it is stated, 6:41-43, that one who falls down from the yoga practice is elevated to the heavenly planets, and after enjoying the material facility there, he again comes down to the earthly planet and take birth in a very rich family or very pious Brahmana family. Thus, it is to be understood that when demigods fall down, they come to earth as sons of very rich and pious families. In such families, the living entity gets an opportunity to execute Krishna consciousness and thereby gain promotion to his desired goal. The son of Maharaj Antaldana had been the demigods in charge of fire, and there again regained their former position, and by mystic power return to heavenly planets. Text 5. Antaldano nabashvatyam avildanamavindatam yahindrahasva altaram vidvamapina jagnivan. Antaldanaham, the king of the name Antaldana, nabashvatyam, unto his wife Nabashvati, Avildanam, of the name of Avildana, Avindata obtained Yaha who Indram, King Indra, Ashva Altalam, who was stealing the horse of his father, Vidvamapi, although he knew it, Na Jagnivan did not kill. Maharaj Antaldana had another wife named Nabashvati, and by her he was happy to beget another son named Avildana. Since Maharaj Antaldana was very liberal, He did not kill Indra while the demigod was stealing his father's horse at the sacrifice. Purport: it is understood from various scriptures and Purana that the king of heaven, Indra, was very expert in stealing and kidnapping. He could not steal anything without being visible to the proprietor, and he could kidnap anyone's wife without being detected. Yeah, he did the same with the wife of Hiranyakashipu. Once he raped the wife of Gautama Muni by using his disappearing art, and similarly by becoming invisible, he stole the horse of Maharaj Printu. Although in human society such activities are considered abominable, the demigod Indra was not considered to be degraded by them. Although Antaldanam could understand that King Indra was stealing the horse from his father, he did not kill him, for he knew that if one who is very powerful sometimes commit an abominable act, he should be disregarded. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated, Api said, Sudurachalum bhajate mamanya nabak sattu leva samanyat mantavyam samyadu yavashit hisham. Even if one commit the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly, because he is properly situated. 930. Thus, even if a devotee commits an abominable act, he should be considered a sadhu, a pious man, because of his inflicting devotion to the Lord. The devotees of the Lord never willingly commit any sinful act, but sometimes they commit something abominable due to their previous habits. Such acts should not be taken very seriously, however, because the devotees of the Lord are very powerful, whether they are on the heavenly planet or in this planet. If by chance they commit something abominable, it should not be taken into account, but should be overlooked. Text 6. Nagyam vrittim kaladanam danda shulkadidalunam manyamanum dilka shatram vyajena visasal jaham. Nagyam of the kings, vrittim source of livelihood, kala taxes, dana realization, danda punishment, shulka fines, adi, etc., to darunam, which are very severe. Manya manaham, thinking like that. Dilga, long, satra, sacrifice. Yajna, on the plea. Visasalja, gave up. Ha, in the past. Whenever Antaldana, supreme royal power, had to exact taxes, punish his citizens, and fine them severely, he was not willing to do so. Consequently, he retired from the execution of such duties and engaged himself in the performance of different sacrifices. It is clear herein that the king sometimes has to perform duties which are not very desirable just because he is the king. Similarly, Arjuna was not at all willing to fight, because fighting or killing one's own kinsman or family member is not at all desirable. Nonetheless, the Kshatriya had to perform such undesirable action as a matter of duty. Maharaj Antaldana was not very happy while exacting taxes or punishing the citizens for their criminal activities Therefore, on the plea of performing sacrifice, he retired from the royal majestic power at a very early age. Text 7. Tatrapiham sampurusham palamatmanam atmadrik yajamstalukatam appam kushalinam samadhinam. Tatrapi, despite this engagement, I am someone who kills the distress of his kinsmen, Purusham, unto the Supreme Person, Paramatmanam, the most beloved person at Madrik, one who has seen or acquire self-realization. Yajan, by worshipping that Lokatam, achieve the same planet Apa, achieve Goshalina very easily. Samadhina, always keeping himself in ecstasy. Although Maharaj Antaldana was engaged in performing sacrifices, because he was a self-realized soul, he very intelligently rendered devotional service to the Lord, who eradicates all the fears of his devotee. But thus worshipping the Supreme Lord, Maharaj Antaldana, wrapped in ecstasy, attained his planet very easily. Since sacrifices are generally performed by fructive actors, it is specially mentioned here, Tatlapi, that although Maharaj Antaldana was externally engaged in performing sacrifice, his real business was rendering devotional service by hearing and chanting. In other words, he was performing the usual sacrifices by the method of Sankirtana Yajna as recommended herein. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dashyam Shakyamatmani Vedanam 7.5.23 Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Devotional service is called Kirtana Yajna. And by practicing the Sankirtana Yajna, one is very easily elevated to the planet where the Supreme Lord resides. Out of 5 kinds of liberation, achieving the same planet where the Lord resides and living with the Lord, there is called Salukya liberation. And this is the last one, Prabhu? Or?
Yes, Prabhu. One more.
Okay. Avildanadavildanim vidula shrutta satsutam barisatam gayam shuklam krishnam satyam jitavratam. Avildanath from Avildana. Avildani, the name of the wife of Avildana. Vidula, O Vidula, Asuta gave birth. Sat 6, Sutam, son. Barisadam of the name of Barisat, Gayam of the name of Gaya, Shuklam of the name Shukla, Krishnam of the name Krishna, Satyam of the name Satya, Jitavlatam of the name Jitavrata. Avildana, the sons of Maharaj Antaldana, had a wife named Avidalni, who gave birth to his son, to 6 sons, named Parishad, Gaya, Shukla, Krishna, Satya, and Jitavrata. So this was the last one.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
So
Thank you very
for
much. Thank you. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai. Okay, next 6 Astakam prayers. चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मास्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्।
नाम नाम गारि भक्तानि सर्वशक्ति तत्र अर्पिता नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशीतौ कृपा भगवान् ममापि दुर्दैव मे दृशमिहायन्नानुरागः
गणावपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिन मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरि
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मो जन्मनि जन्मनि ईश्वरे भवतात् भुक्तिरहेतुकीर्तये
नन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधो कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय
नयनं गणदसुधारया वदनं गदगदहृदया गिरा पुलकैर्निजितं वपुः कथा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति
युगायितं निमिषेण चक्षुषा प्रवृषायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विनमे
आस्तिस्य वा पादरतां विनष्ट माम् अदर्शनान् मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विधातु लम्बतो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव न परः
Haribol, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should one should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking one should be lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal sister, yours, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of a ramsay of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your suppression, I am considering a moment to be like to bear more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he should remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. श्री शिक्षाष्टकम की जय, श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय.
Jai.
जन्म करे यदि श्रवण कीर्तन तबु न पाए कृष्ण पति प्रेम धन. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. First offense is to blaspheme the devotee who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Third offense is disobey the order of spiritual master.
Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
So is Rishikesh Prabhu, you can read all.
Okay, Prabhu. Fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Sixth offense to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eighth offense to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. Ninth offense to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And tenth offense is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vansha kalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhubhyacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namah. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय.
Jai.
नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय.
Jai.
Jai.
श्रीमती श्री भक्तिदान स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय.
Jai.
Jai.
जय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल.
Hari Hari
Hare.
Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for
Thank you.
recitation. Very nice reading
Thank you,
session.
Prabhu.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, tomorrow we continue.